Hey there guys, what is going on? We have the Season 2 Reloaded, which is the mid-season update patch notes for you here today, and there are a load of things that we want to cover here. There's weapon balance changes, all very, very exciting. New Warzone stuff, Miami Strike is being added to the game. We've got big team game modes like 40-man Hardpoint, which is pretty ridiculous. We are also getting a new sniper rifle mid-season, which is of course very, very exciting, and a bunch of other stuff. But just before we do get into it here, make sure you do hit that subscribe button with those notifications turned on, just so you stay up to date with all of the Call of Duty news, all the patch notes, and everything that is going on right now. We always cover it as soon as possible. And I know about 90% of you guys watching these videos right now are not subscribed, so if you could take the time to hit that little red button for me, that would be absolutely massive. So let's just jump straight into the patch notes here. There's a lot to talk about. So to my knowledge, the patch does drop, as you can see here on this little thing we got on the screen right now, 9 p.m. Pacific time, 12 a.m. Eastern time, 5 a.m. GMT. We got 6 a.m. in France and 4 p.m. my time, which is very, very cool. So I'm going to be able to play this in a few hours after this video does go live. As we said, Miami Strike is very, very cool. That's what I'm interested in massively, man. Like, being able to sort of redo, streamline the whole Miami, like, process is very, very cool. I actually really do appreciate that. It's like almost that they recognize that some of the maps that they've made at the start of the game aren't very popular or at least very good, so they want to try and make them smaller, a little bit better to run around in and have a little bit more fun on. There is, as I said, that Golova map, which is originally from Outbreak, which was very, very cool, and being able to play that in multi-team game mode, so I'm guessing Fire Team, Dirty Bomb, as well as sort of big, large-scale Hardpoint in 10 teams of 4, man, that's... Whoo, boy, that is going to be something else. That is going to be very, very interesting. We got, as I said, multi-team Hardpoint. Each set of hardpoints lasts 120 seconds before rotating to the next locations, and unlike 6v6 and 12v12, your team will earn 1 point for each second for all teammates inside the hardpoint. So you actually do have to play the objective to try and win, which is... that makes sense. As we mentioned earlier, we are getting new zombies content. The massive Outbreak stuff has been massively successful, which is very, very cool. We're getting a new map in that, which is the Sanatorium, which is very, very cool, and that's going to be at night, so it's a little bit more spooky. Open world aspect of these zombies, man, just seeing like an absolute horde of zombies move across an entire landscape is so much more exciting than just running around in like a little map thing. It's very, very cool. The weapon tuning update is another one of the things that I'm most excited about. It has been a long time since we've actually had proper weapon balancing, and there are going to be some absolutely bastard weapons in this game now. Hopefully we're going to be able to jump in and test them all out as soon as possible. So once 4 p.m. does hit my time, we're going to be jumping straight in, testing out all these weapons. And we're going to have loads of class setups to test out and loads of class setups for you guys. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of that. But again, they have done a complete pass of some of the muzzle and underbarrel attachments to make recoil changes effective on assault rifles and SMGs, as well as increasing the damage for rockets against enemies with Flak Jacket on the RPG in Hardcore, removing the glint from sniper rifles with iron sights, which is pretty ridiculous, as well as implementing tuning to the Krig 6 FFAR1 Groza, making them more competitive hopefully, and then adjusting the Milano, the KSP-45, the LC-10, the MAC-10, and of course the AK-74U, making them all close together and a pretty good combination of SMGs. There is of course more to come in the middle of the season. We are getting gunfight customs, or gunsmith customs rather, so you can like add different attachments from different blueprints to make cool looking weapons, as well as we are getting the ZRG 20mm sniper rifle, which is this bad boy here. As you can see, this is very, very exciting. This thing looks absolutely deadly. Right, so the weapon balancing, this is what I care about most in the world. The assault rifles, the Krig 6 has got improved visibility when firing an aim down sight, meaning they probably reduced that muzzle flash a little bit, which is a fairly significant detail. They've also added a complete tuning pass on weapon accuracy, weapon movement, and visual clarity while firing with any optic attachment. This is kind of cool as well. And they have addressed instances of the weapon feeling floaty when firing for prolonged amounts of time. So they haven't done too much with the Krig 6, but remember they did adjust some of the weapon and the actual attachment details, so what the attachments do for most of the weapons, so keep that in mind here. They have increased the ballistic speed on the FFAR1 by 12.8%, which is actually fairly interesting. I don't think that's actually what this weapon needed, as we talked about the other day. I think it needed a little bit of a recoil reduction, but this might actually make a fair bit of difference, being able to hit the target as fast as possible, increasing what I believe is to be the muzzle velocity, so that'll be pretty interesting here. The Groza has had an increased maximum damage range of 40%. Now again, this is one of those things that's like, yeah, that's really good, but the problem with the Groza was actually its recoil control, so meaning we can actually hit shots at those longer distances is going to be fairly interesting. But again, they have taken a look at those attachments, so hopefully this does make it a little bit easier. As I said, complete tuning pass on muzzle and underbarrel attachments that affect recoil on assault rifles, so hopefully we get some more no recoil assault rifle classes. In the SMGs, I'm very, very excited about this one. The Milano 821 has received a huge amount of buffs here, like that's 5 buffs, boys, as well as the attachment tuning, so this is going to be very, very exciting. Again, the Milano 821 has have increased mid-range damage by 10% and increased mid-range damage range by 33%. That's absolutely huge. Sprint out time increased by 14.2% and the raise speed by 11% and slightly increased the ADS speed. very, very exciting times for the Milano 821. I do think it needs an increase to its bullet velocity, so maybe you slap on that bullet velocity barrel and you can do some work with this thing. We'll have to wait and see. We're going to have to test this thing out because this thing is absolutely exciting, man. Milano 821 having massive buffs here. This is going to be like when they added those extra special rounds to the Uzi in Modern Warfare. This is going to be a very, very cool weapon. The KSP has increased its ballistic speed by 32% on the KSP 45. So this is the burst SMG, and reduced the burst delay by 20%. So you can fire more rounds at people very, very quickly here. So this is going to be very, very exciting as well. So keep an eye on the KSP 45. It's already in a good spot, and now it's going to be even stronger. Sadly, they have nerfed some of the AK-74U's absolutely dominant. So they reduce the accuracy when prolonged firing. So if you do fire in sort of short bursts, you're still going to be actually like hitting the target as easily as possible. And they have reduced the muzzle velocity by 23.4%, which is a little disappointing as this is where this actual weapon shines. And with the recent changes that we've seen to some of the other weapons, we're not really sure about what the best SMG in the game is anymore. The LC10, which is again one of my personal favorite weapons, has also received some nerfs. So reduced the max damage range by 41%, which is a fairly significant deal. That's almost half. So instead of having like a 32 meter damage range, I imagine that would be closer to about, call it 20, 21, 22 meters or so, and slightly reduce the mid-range damage, so taking those damage numbers down again slightly. So again, the LC10 is still going to be fairly powerful. It's just not going to be as effective as it has been at those sort of medium to longer distances, which I think is fine for SMG. It's still going to be a very good gun in this game. Interesting change to the MAC-10, we have modified the bullet pattern to add slightly more horizontal trajectories. I don't know why they would have done that to the MAC-10. The MAC-10 struggles enough as it is. Maybe with the complete tuning pass on muzzle and underbarrel attachments, they actually made the MAC-10 have like no recoil at all. So maybe they've added a little bit more horizontal inconsistency to make it a little bit less consistent. So we'll have to wait and see, test this out and see what happens with the MAC-10, because this might make it like terrible. But with the extra attachments, we might see that it's actually really, really good. The light machine gun alpha has had its maximum damage range reduced by 25%, and I believe that is the Stoner 63, which is a very, very powerful weapon in this game. This is not the actual change that I was expecting to see. As we did mention, the actual hip fire accuracy on these LMGs is actually ridiculous. Like, it's broken. They are so super small. I think they're actually smaller than some of the assault rifles, which is just... Anyway, these sniper rifles, as I said previously, they disabled the weapon glint on sniper rifles with the iron sights equipped. They just... I don't have to talk about that one. You already know that's just pretty dumb. Pistols. The 1911 has had increased aim down sight speed by 11%. We're not really fussed about that. The 1911 is already pretty good, and they didn't actually touch the hip fire accuracy or anything like that, so dual wield 1911s are still going to be pretty good. The Magnum has seen a slightly decreased hip fire accuracy, which we were expecting, and the dual wield bullet trajectories are now more varied when firing both guns simultaneously. I wonder if you do fire it like one after the other, whether that's still going to be quite effective, but we'll have to wait and see with this thing. They've also redesigned the 4.7-inch takedown barrel attachment into a tight snub barrel. This attachment now adds damage to both enemies and vehicles, so we'll have to test that out as well. As we said, they have changed the RPG slightly. They've increased the blast radius and greatly increased the length of a straight rocket flight path, so meaning it's going to be easier for you to hit those, like, say there's a little UAV up in the sky there, and you do have to complete those challenges, which is just... that is a big hassle with the RPG, so being able to shoot a little bit straighter for a little bit longer is going to be nice. And in general, the rockets now inflict more damage to enemies with Flak Jacket in Hardcore. This still requires a direct hit for a one-hit kill. This has been a massive problem for a little while. In Hardcore, if you do have the RPG, somebody with Flak Jacket actually could take 3 rockets to kill, which is just, that's dumb. So being able to hit somebody and actually kill them is quite nice in Hardcore. Attachments. The Infantry V-Choker now has an updated attachment description to classify the pros and the cons. I mean, I didn't think it had cons, but apparently it does, so we'll have to wait and see and test that out a little bit for some of the shotguns. And this is something that I did actually notice previously. The players can now earn weapon XP and challenge progress by using any weapon, even if they do not currently own it. So if you pick a weapon up off the ground, you previously didn't get weapon XP, which is a little bit dumb. Like, you should be able to just pick up weapons and being able to use them and get XP for them, but it didn't work that way previously, and it does now. Again, as I said, we are getting Miami Strike. We've said that a bunch of times. Very, very excited about that. This is going to replace the original Miami in all core game modes, with the exception of Combined Arms, Search and Destroy, and VIP Escort. That's pretty important because the Miami original map is very large, very big for like just 6v6. It's too big, so hopefully this Miami Strike map is just one of the best maps in the game right now. And of course, we are getting a Miami Strike 24/7 playlist, which is to be expected with a new map. But for the most part, there is a lot of little changes here, like specific zombie stuff, specific multiplayer stuff that's not super interesting, just little bug fixes that usually aren't too super interesting. So there's nothing really else in this rest of the patch notes, so we can hopefully skip out of this. And man, I'm very, very excited about these attachment changes, man. This is going to be very, very cool. Keep an eye out on the Milano 821. This thing is going to be an absolute melt machine, I think. We'll have to wait and see, but yeah, we'll do some testing with a lot of these things. We'll see if the MAC-10's actually still, like, any good, like, if they actually didn't make it actually have no recoil and they added more like horizontal trajectories, it's just going to be bad. So we'll have to wait and see with a lot of this stuff. We're going to jump in as soon as the patch does drop at 4 p.m. my time. As we mentioned, we'll flash the thing up on again so you know when your time is up. But again, thank you very much for watching this patch notes video. I do massively appreciate it. And of course, I will see you in the next video. Bye!